Hey, Sanjay New Buckaroos. How the heck are you? Actually got this one started on time. Oh my goodness. Anyways, it's not as easy as you think. There's always something that comes up last minute. I do two cocktails to start this Saturday, starting with an aperitif and then go to a digestive. The classic aperitif, of course, is the martini. And this one, I use a classic dry recipe, 2.5 ounces of gin to a half ounce of dry vermouth. The dry vermouth I used for this one is the Dolan brand. It's a good mid-level, right? It's not exactly at the top, but it's nowhere near the bottom either. And I think it's above the middle, in my opinion, anyway. And I finished off the last of my Empress 1908 Cucumber Lemon Gin. It's a very nice 85 proof gin, um, inspired by the flavors of afternoon tea experience. The brilliantly balanced Empress 1908 Cucumber Lemon Gin, expertly blended botanicals create an exquisite spirit with lively citrus notes, crisp cucumber, fragrant jasmine, and delicate spice. Yeah, I think that's one reason I really like this one because it's not extremely juniper forward. There's enough other elements going on that really balances it out. It makes it a very nice summer gin, if you will. It makes that nice light martini. Anyway, Sláinte. Might have to go get me another bottle of this stuff. It's really good. Out of British Columbia, it is a really, 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 really like this one a lot. It's taken me a while. I just turned 60, as I seem to like to say ad nauseum at this point. I just keep bringing it up, Tom. It has taken me a long time to warm up to gin. It's really only been in the last 5 years that I've really started. It started, well, maybe, I guess a little bit longer than that. It was, let's see, it was 2019, I guess. So about 6 years. 2019, when I bought a gin from Russell Spirits out of North Kansas City, and I said, okay, that one kind of got me interested. Then I started buying more from various other small craft distilleries, and I found a niche for them. Now, when I tried to go back and revisit some of those name brands that everybody knows, I'm just not a fan. Most of them are just too much juniper, too much lopsided juniper, in my opinion. I like more of the balance. But I will say, no matter what spirit that I'm buying, I do prefer to buy small distillery product whenever possible. This is just such a nice, clean gin. It is delicious. I'm using lemon twist olives as the garnish. These olives have lemon peel in them, and they are soaked in vermouth, so they are specifically designed for a martini. Let me set that down for a second. I forgot to check something real quick after I got started. Uh, I was just so enamored with myself for actually getting started on time. Just like I'm ready, and then some, oh crap, I got to do this first. Actually, I had this one and tried to get all the details done first so I could start right on time. Start right on time, man. There we go. Set that down there and finish this cocktail up. Got out a little earlier today. Get my wife's haircut, and then I met some friends for sort of a small informal bottle share. Folks brought a few different beers. I mean, it wasn't a big thing. We all just brought a couple. So, but it did take a couple hours. So that's why I waited a while to do this video. I had to, come home, eat something, take a nap. I did that in that order. We ate something, I took a little nap. Or soon after I was making fun of my wife for taking a nap, I zonked out myself. Mercy. I probably had it coming. Uh, oh, mercy. Gosh, that is nice. That really is a nice martini. Again, for the longest time when I had a martini, it was always a vodka martini. It was typically vodka dirty. But I am warming up to a classic martini in my old age. It's taken me a long time to get to some places. Some folks are amazed when I tell them I was 50 years old before I started drinking coffee. Not that I hadn't tasted coffee before, but I wasn't a coffee drinker per se until right about 50, maybe slightly after. Oh, gosh, this is just good, man. Just a nice, easy drinker. Again, the martini is a nice. It's a good first cocktail of the evening because it helps you relax. Shakes that edge off if you're having that after work drink or if you're meeting somebody somewhere for drinks. This is a good place to start. I'm mostly a whiskey guy, and there are those folks that only drink the same thing. You have one cocktail, you only have the same cocktails. But I kind of like to switch things up. I think the martini is a good first cocktail. Because it's clean, it's refreshing, it's cold, and again, it helps take that edge off, and you can relax. And now you order your good whiskey cocktail next, right? Have that old fashioned or Manhattan or whiskey sour. I've gotten to where I really love making whiskey sour. Of course, what I make as a whiskey sour is what was traditionally called a Boston sour, but most places are serving a whiskey sour or serving a Boston sour as their whiskey sour. So I don't know where and when that terminology changed, but what it seems like almost every cocktail bar is serving as a whiskey sour was traditionally called a Boston sour. If you looked into cocktail history like I have, I look at stuff. I try to stay educated. I don't like to show it. I know, because I like to be underestimated, man. I love to be underestimated. If you keep that bar low, you can jump it in street shoes, baby. Anyway, anyways, I digress. Let me finish up this cocktail because I really want to get to that second one. As I've told a lot of you, I've been trying to finish up some stuff as we get ready for vacation here, where I typically try to buy as much as I can humanly afford while we're on vacation. When we go to other places to buy stuff I can't get here. Um, as I said earlier, I just finished off that bottle of gin, that Empress 1908, and making the next cocktail. I killed that bottle too, and I'll show that to you in just a minute or two when I finish this cocktail up. So bear with me. I gotta jump off camera real quick, and I'll be right back with that cocktail. All right. So what I have here, and you might say, Yeah, well, it kind of looks like an old fashioned tub, but it doesn't have an ice cube in it. Yeah, let's just say it's old fashioned adjacent. And I will be honest though, I do occasionally use that big cube or a globe for an old fashioned. But if you've seen any of my videos, you know probably at least 70% of the time, if not more, my old fashions are served straight up because I'm not a big fan of ice. So what I have here is my cocktail is obviously very well chilled, but there is no ice in it. Why I say uh, old fashioned adjacent is it depends on your strict definition of an old fashioned. I would call this an old fashioned, but there may be some that say, well, because I'm not using a simple or a sugar cube, but I am getting some sweetness. Let me show you what I'm getting it from. Well, first let me show you the whiskey that I finished to give you. And I figured I would finish this up neat, but I really wanted to have one cocktail with it because I did have drank most of this bottle neat. It's Papa's Birthday Barrel Bottled and Bond Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. So bottled and bond, it must be a minimum of 4 years old. It must be 100 proof. And this is from the Neely Family Distillery out of Sparta, Kentucky. And I'm telling you, these guys are just insanely good. So I had about 2.5 ounces of that whiskey left. Maybe three. Who's counting? Still more than top, but I figured it needed to go. And like I said, I didn't use a simple or a sugar cube, but I did add some sweetness in the form of this candied orange liqueur from this is a Sweet Blondies a candied orange liqueur from Tiakida Distillery right here in Springfield, Missouri. This is local to me. So this is a 50 proof liqueur. And I have 1 ounce of that in here, and that's where I've got my sweetener. And then I did add some orange bitters. So again, it has more or less the ingredients of an old fashioned, but I just kind of changed the game a little bit by using that liqueur rather than a sweetener. Now I'm going to just move my garnish, if you will, to make this easier to drink in my classic Jack Daniel's glass here. Oh my gosh, that's really good. Yeah, I wouldn't want this any sweeter for me. Although I will state up front that most folks seem to like an old fashioned sweeter than I do. For the longest time, I just did not like the old fashioned because every time I tried to order one or someone was brought to me, it was just way too damn sweet for me. So it's really right. It was during COVID actually where I just decided, okay, I got to figure this cocktail out. And for me, it was just using that right whiskey. And for me, it's a 90 proof or above. 90 proof at the bare minimum, but I prefer 100 to cast, to be honest. But the other part of that was taking that sugar down. I don't like the sugar cube because I don't enjoy the grit in my drink. Now, I've talked to folks that like the sugar cube, and they always cite to me that they like that little bit of grit. I don't. I don't find it pleasant at all. Uh, but so the other side of that was so I would make my simple, but I would use a raw. I would make my simple out of raw sugar, and where most recipes would call for 2 ounces of liquor, 1 ounce of the simple, I just gradually cut that down until I got to what I liked, which is about so 2.5 ounces of the liquor to a half ounce of simple, which seems to be the right balance for me. Now, if you like it sweeter, that's fine. For me, I've just found that the older I get, the more sensitive to the sugars I have become. So something that seems very sweet to me might not seem as sweet to somebody else. Boy, this is an enjoyable cocktail, though. It really is. Yeah. That's just a damn fine whiskey, though. I bought three products from them. I'm not going to tell the whole story again because I've told it 100 times. But Neely Family Distillery is just amazing, man. I really want to get back there. Maybe next year I'll get a chance, but it'll probably be the year after. But I'm hoping next year I can get there. Oh, biscuits. Man, that is a nice cocktail. I like using that candied orange. I was kind of wondering. I wanted to put that in there. Like I said, I use an ounce. If I'm using a simple, I use a half ounce. But I did use a full ounce, being a liqueur. But it adds that nice orange flavor. And then I use the orange bitters on top of that. That really gives me a nice rounded old fashioned type cocktail. Oh man, that is nice. If I had a cocktail bar, this is what I would serve as my standard old fashioned. I wouldn't use any sugar at all. I would use 2 ounces of liquor to 1 ounce of this, 1 ounce of that candied orange. I think that'd be a perfect old fashioned, just like that. A lot of flavor, great mouthfeel, the viscosity. Oh man, it's just a cocktail that feels good. Mm. And then with the I don't have them here. I've got some at work. I need to buy some for home though. Here I use orange bitters. At work, I use the smoked orange bitters, and that just takes it up a little bit. Takes it to a whole other level, baby. anyways, anyways, I digress. But I digress, man. It's delicious. As we were driving home today, we found a stand that was selling tamales. These were made in a restaurant, but having lived in Las Cruces, New Mexico, and El Paso, Texas, you know that the very best tamales always come from a beat up cooler. You see somebody on the side of the road or in a parking lot somewhere, and they're selling tamales out of a beat up cooler, especially if it's right out of their truck. Oh, yeah, you buy those because they're going to be the best ever. And the nicer looking the Mexican restaurant, the less authentic the food. The more gringoized the food is going to be. But if the place looks like hell on the outside, yeah, that's where you want to be. And when you can't understand the person taking your order, you know you're getting good food. There's one place my wife and I like to go to when we lived in El Paso because it was a couple reasons. One, the food was incredible, but it's near where I work, so we can go there for lunch. Anyways, but yeah, you go in there and when my wife first got there, you know, I don't speak Spanish. I want to make that clear, but I learned to know the food and other things I could say. But when she first got there, she didn't do, so she would just, they didn't speak any English. She would just point at the board, just point at the menu. El Bacon, boy, that place was incredible. And if I remember correctly, she would usually go back to get her. I think it was probably her son, somebody a little bit younger, to come out, and he'd try to explain things. This is this. Anyway, but yeah, if you're ordering any kind of ethnic food, you don't want somebody speaking English, man. If you want it done right, if you want really authentic food. Unfortunately, Springfield doesn't really have great authentic Mexican anymore. We had a couple places that were pretty good, but they always seem to tailor towards gringos the longer they stay open. So, oh man, you guys were used to be wonderful. And the food's still quality. It's just that it's not like it was, right? Certain things are just not, don't have that authenticity that they once had. When I was working in Springdale, Arkansas, I worked for Breeze Springdale, Arkansas for a couple of years. They had the Mexican food in Springdale and Rogers was just insanely good. And when I had to come back to Springfield, I said, "Oh, this stuff isn't good anymore." It was okay before I tasted that, but damn, that stuff is as good as the stuff I had at El Paso and Las Cruces, man. Best thing about Las Cruces was it was the first time I'd ever had the flat enchilada, and it's the first time that I'd ever had enchiladas montadas, an enchilada with an egg on top. And the first time I ordered it, I'll be honest, I didn't know what I was ordering. He just started saying stuff. I just said, okay. I mean, I knew I was trying to order some cheese enchiladas, and I didn't realize they were flat at the time because I'd never seen a flat enchilada before. But I really wanted the green chili because Las Cruces is close to Hatch, New Mexico, so you got that really insane green chilies. Anyways, so I ordered this enchilada, and it comes out, and it's just flat on the plate, and tons of green sauce, and an over medium egg on top. And I'm not even sure what to do with this at this point, right? So, what the hell? Looked like the strangest thing I'd ever seen in my life until I cut that egg open and took a bite of that egg along with the that cheese, not yellow cheese, Mexican. Yeah, take a bite of that enchilada with that green sauce and the cheese, and I went, "Oh my gosh, these people are geniuses!" That was the best thing I'd ever ate in my life. It was incredible. I ate that as often as I could through my time in El Paso or Las Cruces in El Paso, and I make it at home as often as I can. It is one of my favorite things to eat. And you can do it with a red chili sauce as well, or a red enchilada sauce, depending on what you like. But if you can get a good fresh green sauce, cheese whiz and bacon, there's nothing better. Ugh. Man, that is a nice cocktail. That really is. That nice orange flavor, just enough sweetness to balance that 100 proof bourbon. But yeah, Neely Family Distillery out of Sparta, Kentucky. Like I've told many stories that we kind of found them by accident, or my wife found them by accident, and they're just incredible. I just really want to get back there, man. The products are just so insanely good. They are the real deal. Yeah, I really like this old fashioned, man. This may be the only way I make an old fashioned from here on in. Yeah, and not using again, not using a simple, not using sugar, just that orange liqueur with the whiskey. Oh, that's nice, man. Get it good and chilled. Hey, if you want to add an ice cube, there'd be nothing wrong with adding an ice cube here. I just want it good and chilled. I don't like a lot of residual ice. Kind of got a little thing about that, but and I don't want my drink getting watered down. If you use the big cube, it's not going to get watered down a lot, but still at all. But yeah, I want this good and chilled as is. The thing is, even through the time that I've been drinking this over about what 15 minutes now, it's not as cold as the second I started drinking, but it is still cold. And in my opinion, anyway, this isn't a drink, isn't a cocktail that you need to stay ice cold. That whiskey doesn't need to be as cold as, say, that vodka or gin in a martini. But there are some people that like the ice, right? They like the presentation. They like the way the cube looks. I just don't. For me, I just love a straight up cocktail. And typically, I would serve a drink like this in a coupe. I think a big whiskey forward. The way I put this together, I just wanted it in the classic whiskey glass, which is why I use uh, my one of my Jack Daniel's glasses that was passed down to me from my dad. Oh, fuck nuggets and gravy. That's good, man. That's really good, man. Anyways, I better wrap this up. Oh, man, that's nice. I am Tom the Whiskey Whisperer, whiskey evangelist, prolific whiskey drinker, pervert wisdom, and all around good guy. And thanks for joining another episode of Cocktails with a Whiskey Whisperer. Lunch.